Hello, my name is Elizabeth Sanchez, and I'm a Georgia State student on the pursuit of becoming a social worker. What you're about to see is my journey towards cultural competency. The first step in my journey was taking a pre-test that measured how culturally competent I already was. My initial score was an 84 on the self-assessment test and a 212 on the culturally diverse groups test. I was shocked and disappointed that on a scale of unlikely to definitely, I fell at the level of a not very likely competent person. I'd always considered myself as someone who was very open-minded and culturally aware, but to have something tell me that I wasn't culturally competent was frustrating. After reflecting on my scores, I became excited for what was to come because I knew this journey would push me to grow out of my comfort zone and become a better version of myself. In order to continue my journey, I had to conduct a self-analysis on my own identity and cultural background. This was all included in my cultural biography, in which I was asked to think about my positionality and multiple identities, dilemmas of Americanization, my family culture, cultural awareness of other inventory, and intersectionality. My positionality was a self-reflection of who I am, where I come from, and where I'm heading. I was born in Portocingo, Guerrero, Mexico, to two proud parents, Rosa and Jose Sanchez. I come from a low-income family who sacrificed a lot to be where we're at now. Although my dad crossed into the United States illegally, he was able to obtain citizenship for our whole family after submitting endless paperwork. In 1999, after years of waiting and anticipation, my father announced that he had officially attained citizenship for our entire family. We packed our bags as we headed to Atlanta, Georgia. I will forever be grateful for the sacrifices that my parents made because without them, I would not be where I am today. Dilemmas of Americanization and family culture required me to look at my Mexican heritage as well as how American culture has influenced and shaped my life experiences. Coming to America at the age of 4 was both a blessing and a curse. My kindergarten days were tough, and I remember crying every day because I couldn't understand a word my teacher was saying. To make matters worse, I did not have one single Hispanic classmate that I could share my pain with. Eventually, my teacher arranged a meeting with my parents. A translator was present at the meeting, and she explained to my parents that I was being moved to pre-K because the teacher thought I was not at the standard needed to be in her class. Looking back, that move was what made all of the difference. I went to a pre-K that was dominated by Latinos. I flourished here because I was finally receiving the help I needed from the right people. My teachers never gave up on me, and they understood my struggles. As the years went by, I began to assimilate to the culture around me. At school, I did everything possible to fit in. I always wanted to have the latest fashion trends and electronics regardless of the cost. I would feel superior to other Hispanics because I would only hang out with white girls, and I was always getting invited to the popular kids' parties. I saw the Hispanic kids at my school as hoodlums, and I felt like all they cared about was acting out. Thankfully, my family has always been an important element that brings me back to my Mexican roots. I speak only Spanish at my house, and I eat a home-cooked meal almost every day. My household is set up as a typical Mexican household. My mom is a stay-at-home mom, and my dad is a breadwinner. Because of the strong influence that my family culture has on me, it would be nearly impossible to lose touch of who I really am. Although there have been times where I felt more American than Mexican, I'm aware that overall, I am a bicultural individual. I feel that both of the cultures have contributed to who I am, and they both have a meaning and purpose in my life. Cultural awareness of other inventory is the amount of exposure I have had to different cultures. I have lived in Cumming, Georgia since 1999. In this area, the majority of people are Caucasian and there is not much diversity. Throughout my life, I had not really been exposed to different cultures. It wasn't until I moved to downtown Atlanta in fall 2014 that I began to be exposed to people from different races and backgrounds. Intersectionality is when many of my group memberships came together to form the unique person I am. After exploring all of those elements of my cultural biography, I began to focus on where I stood in relation to others in society. This meant analyzing some of my dominant and subordinate groups that either made me privileged or oppressed in comparison to others. For my subordinate group, I identified that I am a Mexican female and non-religious. For my dominant groups, I identified that I am heterosexual, can speak English fluently, and I am able-bodied. I found that it was so much easier for me to identify my subordinate groups than it was to identify my dominant ones. I struggled to find the extra dominant groups that I needed, but when I did find them, I realized that I was part of several privileged groups that I take for granted on the daily. After exploring the concept of privilege and oppression, it became important for me to begin exploring other cultures in order to understand their struggles and standpoints as well. This was done in the form of cultural immersions. The first cultural immersion that I attended was an event called Garba. I chose to attend this event because I have met so many people who are part of the Hindu population ever since coming to Georgia State, and I've realized how friendly and accepting they are of my culture, so I thought I should do the same. The event was held in Dalberg Hall in celebration of a Hindu festival and in honor of the goddess Durga. Garba is the name of the traditional dance that is performed at the festival. All of the girls were wearing colorful saris, which is a traditional dress from India, and all of the guys were wearing traditional outfits as well. The food was delicious and consisted of a spicy-filled tortilla and a drink that tasted like a mango smoothie. Throughout the night, everyone danced in circles around the statue of the goddess while synchronizing with one another's dance moves. I pulled aside one of the girls that was there and I asked her if she would teach me some of the dances. She taught me some of the basic steps, and before I knew it, I was going around in circles with everyone while dancing to loud, upbeat music. It was an amazing experience. Everyone was so inviting and eager to explain the meaning behind the event. And at the end of the event, the same girl that I pulled aside to show me the dances agreed to be interviewed. And she shared some of the struggles that she feels her population faces. I would have never guessed that the amazing and jubilant people that I met at the event face so many struggles in our society. Another immersion I attended was at an Indian village that is located in Forsyth County. This village is located there to represent the rich Cherokee heritage that is a part of that county. During certain occasions, the village is open and filled with Native American dance, music, and culture. At this particular event, attendees sat around in a circle while the Native American hosts performed their traditional dances. Each dance looked very complex and signified something religious or meaningful. Each dance also involved colorful, traditional attire that included bells, feathers, and elaborate designs. While the dancers performed, another individual would be playing a drum in the background while chanting along as well. Overall, it was very entertaining, and I learned so much about the Native American culture. It saddens me to see the recent news about so much oppression that this population is facing, especially with the proposal of the North Dakota Access Pipeline. As future social workers, it's important that we remain educated and aware of these kind of events so we can advocate and become an ally to the population that is being oppressed. The next immersion involved my good friend Ivan. After all the years of knowing him, I'd never really taken the time to ask about his feelings of being differently abled. So I took my cultural immersions as a chance to become better informed on the oppressed population that he is a part of. I took a night to discuss and reminisce over his life. Ivan is 20 years old and has speech impediments and mental impairments. No one, not even him, are sure of the name of the exact disability that he has. According to him, his mother was very careless and would abuse of the fact that he was differently abled and only kept him around to keep the monetary benefits that she was receiving from his disability. Ivan discussed about his everyday experiences, and he's aware how sometimes people see him as incapable or feel sorry for him because of his disabilities. He expressed how completely wrong these ideas are because he shares a place with a roommate, has a job, and can do almost everything that a person without a disability can do. Ivan is aware that his future is cloudy because none of his family members care for him and he doesn't have access to resources due to him not really knowing how to get them. As future social workers, we need to be familiar with the struggles that the differently abled populations face, because not everyone is as lucky as Ivan. Some disabled persons face endless discrimination and lack of support from their communities, so it's up to us to be their allies. My last cultural immersion was a drag show held at the Rialto Center for the Art. Overall, I was very impressed by the unique and outstanding show that the performers gave to the audience. I actually knew a couple of them, and I know how much being part of the drag show means to them. It's their way to express themselves, and they put their passion into being the best performer. I admire them for all the time they dedicate to their physical image in order to look as professional and admirable as they do. At the event, I never once felt uncomfortable because everyone was friendly and genuinely excited to watch the show. The experience almost felt the same as going to a high-end concert. I know that some of my friends that perform have been judged and stereotyped, but they keep doing what they love in order to one day break those stereotypes and make others aware and educated on drag culture. To end my cultural competency journey, I retook the test that I had taken at the beginning to measure my new level of competence. My new scores were 1 and 9 on the self-assessment test and 250 on the culturally diverse groups test, as opposed to my previous scores of 84 and 212. These new scores reflect the skills and knowledge that I have acquired throughout this journey. Without the help of my classmates, the discussions facilitated by Professor Corley, and the experiences and people that I came into contact with, I would not have been able to grow and learn as much as I did. I admire everyone who shared their stories and also their opinions during class. I know sometimes we had some disagreements, but it was all part of the learning process. I can genuinely say that I'm so thankful for this experience and everything that it has taught me. I now feel more in touch with my own self as well as other cultures, and I'm confident that I have chosen the right career path for myself.